Thanks, friends. My name is Varinder and welcome you to my YouTube channel Cloud Ninja. So in this video we'll study about storage types and what are the different types of storage which Amazon or AWS Cloud provide us. So let's move on to the first slide and see that what are the different type of storages. So before actually moving on to the storage which AWS provides, let's study or try to recap that okay, what are the different type of storages available, and then we'll move on to the different storage types or the services which AWS provides in those types. So there are mainly three types of storages. The first one is file storage. So as we know that the file storage is usually accessed via the standard protocol like NFS or SMB. So they are having like fixed attributes like the type of file is being used, whether it is PDF, doc, or the size of the file and the date when it is created or modified, basically stored in the file system. And these kind of is basically good for sharing files across the LAN and when typical example of you can take off NetApp or the file server you are having where a number of users are accessing the files over the local area network. And the second one is like the object store. This is basically a new one which is emerging into the market, and this is basically the object store where the data is being accessed over the HTTP protocol. So it is similar like you store an object and get a key, like you're having a car and for that car that you're having a key and then give them the ticket to retrieve the car. So in the similar way, in object storage, the client or access method is usually an application over HTTP and custom information about the file which is actually stored and the information about its metadata. So object storage is ideal for shared infrequently changing files for scalable or multi-site deployment. So in AWS, if I talk about for object storage, where the data is stored in different buckets. Amazon provides us this S3 service wherein we access our different video files, text files over the HTTP protocol. So you can see that in the diagram over the right hand side, we are having an object and object is having a unique ID and then its attributes and the metadata. And in files storage, we have its type, size, when it is created, modified. So in case you are having any PDF file, just right click on, you can see the properties over there. So the third type of storage is basically the block storage where the data is stored in different blocks. And block storage is basically like providing an volume to our machines or to the server. So in case of data is organized as an array of blocks, you basically curve out a portion of these blocks, maybe these two blocks or these four blocks, to actually form a volume that actually can be formatted as a local drive where the data can be stored, or you can then mount any kind of file system onto that. So access for block storage is usually through a client or operating system over the fiber channel like SCSI or AT over the Ethernet. So these are the basically three file storage like file storage, object storage, and block store. Now let's see what kind of services AWS provides us in these type of storage, and then we'll see all these things in bit detail. In case of AWS, we have for file storage, it is having Amazon EFS, which we call as Elastic File System. And for object storage, Amazon provides us S3 or Glacier. S3 is for frequently accessed data, and Amazon Glacier is for basically archiving data and for retaining long-term data. And Amazon, in case of block store, Amazon provides us this elastic block storage or volume. So it is like a disk can hold a file system and could be encrypted. So these are the three file systems or type of storage which AWS provides us. And depending on our need that, okay, what kind of business we want to run or the applications we have, we can choose that. So let's see what are these different types and what are their use cases. In case of Elastic File System, just to give you an overview, EFS is a file server for an, it's like a file server for an instance, like we have file server for our for our servers, for the clients which are there in the local area network. And you can see this example that EFS would be like a file server. Once you create it, you just need to, let's say if these are your instances. So in case of your instance, you need to mount that particular volume or that particular storage onto your EC2 instance. Then you can simultaneously store files, and it is called as elastic because you can scale up to petabyte scale of data can be stored onto these file system, and as per your need you can scale up as well as down, and you will be paid for whatever amount you will be using. So these days this Amazon EFS is getting popularity because in that case you are not spending any kind of money, upfront money onto procuring the hardware or infrastructure really to provide a file server like services to your users. So you are just logging into the Amazon console, you are subscribing the service, and and as per your need you can scale up as well as scale down. So it provides a simple scalable file storage for use with your Amazon EC2 instances. So with the storage capacity, like I said, is elastic, growing, shrinking automatically as you need or remove 4 files. Let's say if you have 4 files, you will be charged for those 4 files, and you have deleted 3 files, you will be charged only for the 1 file. So it is not the same way in typical infrastructure where you have already spent onto the hardware and all the resources, and then you are using that. But here, the amount you will be using that, you will be paying for that. So EFS supports like NFS network file system version 4.1. So the application and tools that actually use can work seamlessly with the Amazon EFS. So this is our EFS. We'll see that, okay, what are the different use cases for that. So multiple EC2 instance can access the EFS at the same time. So you can see that, okay, if these are the different instances, they will be able to access this particular elastic file system at the same time. So you can store any amount of data onto this if you've created that. So it is basically designed for wide spectrum of cases, like if you are having a media processing company where data is received in number of encoders like TV, they are having different encoders for games, for mobiles, DVDs, when you are processing this kind of information having different encoders, then you can use this elastic file system having pretty good performance for applications like big data analytics, where the data is coming from different social networking websites, Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram. So in that case, the kind of analytics, that algorithm has to do onto the data, the amount of information is coming, so you can use that, elastic file system. So similarly, Amazon S3 is our basically object storage, where the data is stored in buckets in the form of objects. So basically, Amazon S3 stores data as an objects, and those objects are stored within the folders to whom we call as buckets. So in case of Amazon S3, so you can see that all your files will be stored in this bucket in the form of objects. So these are pretty square and a circle and a triangle. These are your objects, which are also called as files. So buckets are the containers for the objects where the files need to be stored. So what are your objects? Objects could be your text files, videos, photos, or applications. And Amazon S3 can be used for number of areas where you're having a website. You need to put some static or dynamic content. So in that case, you're going to use the Amazon S3. So for each bucket, you can control the access to the bucket, such as who can create, delete, or list the objects in the bucket. So out of, if these 4 users you want them to access onto these buckets, you can provide it. So similarly, you can have the this identity and access management into that, and you'll be able to provide access onto the different buckets, so that which data will be accessed by the which user in which bucket. So this is basically over the object storage. For elastic block storage or a block storage, Amazon provides us this EBS, elastic block storage, for third category. So block storage, you can say that it is like a virtual hard drive on your Amazon instance, Amazon EC2 instance. So it exists separately from your instance and attached when it is needed. So it is just like a volume which is lying onto some other place, and you are just attaching it to your EC2 instance. So you can see that as and when needed, you'll be able to attach. Let's say this particular EC2 instance needs to, have the volume attached. You can attach that. Let's say if this you want to have, then you can attach that. So it is like one volume could be attached to only one EC2 instance, but a EC2 instance can be attached to a multiple EBS volumes. So once a volume is attached to an instance, you can use it like any physical hard drive on a server and load any type of file system onto that. So this is just a volume, and it is like a physical hard drive we have on your laptop or a server. So once you have attached that, you can load any type of file system onto that, and you will be able to use that. So this block storage is basically used for the IO intensive applications wherein read-write IOPS are pretty high. So in case you want to have that kind of performance, you can use this elastic block storage. So you can see that these are the typical hard drives. Once you will be able to map this particular volume, you will see these volumes or elastic block EBS volumes as your hard drives onto your EC2 instances. So it's really use cases. Let's say you're having a web application having large million number of hits per day or processing transactions in a millions per day. So in that case, you can see that we are having a website number of hits, increase during the day or certain time. So in that case, if you want to meet such a demand and you want to provide a very good experience to the visitors who are coming to your site, so in that case, you need an elastic block storage because, and you can use a provisioned IOPS wherein you can specify that how many IOPS you would be requiring from a particular volume which you have attached. So in that case, you will be able to provide a pretty good experience to the visitors with the very low latency basically. And they're going to definitely come to your site again to visit again and do shopping or do business. So these are the basically three file storage we have studied, that elastic file storage, EFS, and then we have object storage, which is S3, and then we have the EBS volumes, which is basically the volumes we attach to the EC2 instances, and then it looks like a hard drive. So thank you friends, thank you for watching this video. If you really like this video, please hit the like button, share button, and do share with your friends. And at last, I would request you to please subscribe our channel so that you can get updates about our subsequent videos. Thank you friends, thank you for